Everyone knows an MBA is crazy expensive. A master's in business administration costs far more than those high priced tuition fees. The real cost isn't the 30, 40, 50 or 60,000 you'll spend on your tuition. There are a load of other hidden fees that you need to consider if you're going to do an MBA. I started a part-time MBA in Trinity Business School this year, and I'm going to break down some of the costs so you can see if the MBA is a right choice for you. Tuition fees for MBAs aren't cheap. It's one of the most expensive degrees that you can do. Only a medical degree is probably more expensive than an MBA. Think of them as high-priced luxury goods. You're not just buying an education. You're actually buying access to a network. So the people in your class will probably go on to careers or to work for companies that you may want to work with or for in your career as well. You're also getting access to the MBA alumni network. That is people who've already completed the MBA for your university and other universities. This makes it really effective at network building. And it's also a great credibility builder for LinkedIn and for when you're talking to clients and employers. On that, an MBA also gives you access to employers at in-house careers fairs and meet and greets in a way that you won't get if you're cold pitching or applying to standard job adverts that you're going to come across on LinkedIn and on traditional jobs boards. Now let's face it, MBA colleges and universities also employ a little bit of artificial scarcity. You actually have to apply to get into an MBA even if you have the money. And universities cap the number of students that they accept each year. This makes them particularly hard to get into, and anything that's hard to get into or even get automatically becomes sought after. Now you can expect to pay 4 or even 5 figures for an MBA depending on the country that you're in. Tuition fees for my part-time executive MBA clock in at 36 to 37,000 for 24 months. It's one of the more cheaper or affordable MBAs that are out there. Other MBAs in Ireland where I live cost over 40,000. And when I was researching my MBA, I found ones in the United Kingdom, in Oxford University, for example, which clocked in at over £100,000, which is a whopping amount of money and would take a long time to pay off. And MBAs in the United States are even more expensive. What's more, if you're not from the country where the MBA is taught, you also have to pay a little bit extra as well. And in fact, some of the classmates on the MBA that I'm on have actually come from countries like the United States and South Africa to do it. Now, you can, of course, pay for your MBA in a number of different ways. I'm actually paying for my MBA from my business. And some of my classmates are getting a little bit of support from their employers, but it's still a huge amount of money to spend on 12 to 24 months of education. If you're struggling with that, remember you can also defer the cost of your MBA, as in you can pay for it in installments rather than as a lump sum. And this is something that I'm doing, which is helping me manage the high amount of money that I have to come up with. MBAs have some other hidden costs. They take up a huge amount of time, even part-time MBAs like the ones that I'm doing. Now, I run a content publishing business, but I'm taking time out of my business to do this MBA for the next 12 to 24 months. And I've also got 3 kids and I enjoy training for things like marathons and triathlons. Clearly, some of that is going to have to go on the back burner during crunch times for this particular MBA. And in fact, when I was applying for the MBA, I asked the admissions advisor how much time I should dedicate to it each week. And he said I could expect to spend at least 20 hours per week on the MBA, including class time and on readings and course materials. And that might even ramp up further when it comes closer to exams. That's right, I need to take time off for exams as well. Now, other people in the class or in the MBA program that I'm on are working during the day, so they're going straight from work to the MBA in the evening time. Currently, classes are on Tuesday and Thursday evenings between 6 and 9 p.m. There are the occasional block weeks when I have to take off the entire week for the MBA, and there's also some travel time and trips abroad as well. And I also have to take time off to study. So if you're considering an MBA, ask yourself how much time can you dedicate to it? Can you get time off from your employer, or are you prepared to put your career on hold for 12 to 24 months? And when travel rolls around and when exams come up, can you put off going on holidays and put off other commitments so that you can focus on your MBA? After all, if you're going to spend this much money on a master's in business administration, you're going to want to give it 100%. Hidden costs. Now, an MBA has a few hidden costs that you might not necessarily think of. First up is the opportunity cost. So you could spend 20 hours a week doing your part-time MBA for 24 months. And then you may get a return on the MBA sometime after graduation. Or you could put those 20 hours per week extra into your career or into your business or to whatever you're doing in your personal life. So you got to ask yourself the question, what's going to unlock the biggest ROI for you? And you also have to factor in some other hidden costs which aren't really clear up front. So for example, for my MBA, I've already started to buy textbooks like this one for an accounting and finance module. And as you may know, academic books are a bit more expensive than traditional books. That one particular book costs $70. And I'd expect to spend about $500 to $1,000 on supplementary reading materials over the next 12 to 24 months. And I'll also need to set aside time for a trip abroad to South Africa and also for travel and accommodation. Thankfully, Trinity University isn't too far from my house, so I don't spend too much money on traveling in twice or 3 times a week. However, some students I know have actually moved to Dublin for the MBA, and that means they have to factor in some extra costs, such as accommodation, such as insurance, and also flights from their home country. So you got to ask yourself, what are the surrounding costs around an MBA, because it doesn't just stop at tuition. For me, I'd expect 5 to 7 grand, or to spend 5 to 7 grand extra on hidden costs for this particular MBA. Look, a master's in business administration isn't cheap. Once you apply for the program, you're going to have to come up with mid to high 4 figures to cover the program. However, I did a good bit of research and I found that most graduates will get an ROI on their MBA within 24 to 36 months after graduation. So for me, it's an investment in my career, and it's also giving me skills that I can use for my business. Whether it's the right choice for you depends on what you're doing professionally and personally, because it's not just an investment of money, it's also an investment of time and energy. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions about the hidden costs of an MBA, let me know in the comments section below. And over the next 24 months, I'm going to record a series of videos like this where I break down some of the concepts and learnings from my executive MBA in Trinity Business School.